The phone lights up, a text message, someone needs a favor. Your thumb hovers over the keyboard, and in that half second, that brief, flickering moment before you type the word sure, your chest tightens. The answer is already forming. The yes is already inevitable. But somewhere beneath the surface, buried under years of practice, a quieter voice whispers, I do not want to do this. And then, faster than you can acknowledge it, the guilt arrives, heavy, familiar, the kind that drowns out everything else. This is not about the favor. This has never been about the favor. Let me say this clearly. You are not broken. You are not selfish. You are not ungrateful. What you are experiencing has a name. It is called guilt-bound compliance. And it is not a character flaw. It is a survival reflex your nervous system learned a long time ago. In my 22 years working with people in New York, I have seen this pattern countless times. You say yes to things you do not want to do. You overextend yourself. You accommodate, adjust, and absorb other people's needs like it is your job. And then, when you are alone, when no one is watching, you collapse under the weight of resentment you are not allowed to feel, because the guilt always gets there first. But here is what that guilt is really doing. It is protecting you, not from being a bad person, from being abandoned. Your nervous system does not remember last Tuesday. It remembers being small. It remembers the first time your no was met with coldness, silence, withdrawal. Maybe a parent who stopped talking to you for days. Maybe a caregiver whose love felt conditional on your compliance. Maybe just the subtle, suffocating message that your worth was measured by how helpful, agreeable, or easy to manage you were. That your needs were inconvenient, that taking up space required permission you never quite had. So your nervous system made a deal. Safety equals compliance. Love equals yes. And every time you say no, your body sounds an alarm. Not because you are doing something wrong, but because once upon a time, your no was punished. Sound familiar? This is attachment adaptation. Your nervous system did not fail you. It adapted brilliantly to an environment where boundaries were unsafe. It learned to prioritize connection over authenticity, harmony over honesty. And now, decades later, even when there is no real threat, your body still reacts as if saying no will cost you everything. Want to know why? Because to a child, it does. To a child, disconnection is not just painful, it is existential. So you learn to stay safe by staying small, by erasing your preferences before you even felt them, by making yourself easy to love. And here is the part no one talks about. You got so good at this that you do not even realize you are doing it anymore. You do not notice the moment you abandon yourself, the split second between do I want this and I should want this. You do not feel the edit. You just feel the guilt when you dare to hesitate. If this is resonating with you, give this video a thumbs up. It helps more people find it. This is the war no one sees, the private battle happening inside you every single time someone asks something of you. It is not just about the favor. It is about whether you are allowed to exist as a separate person with separate needs, whether your no is worth risking the connection, whether you, just you, as you are, with your limits and your tiredness and your small human need for space, are enough. And the answer your nervous system learned was no. You are not enough. Not unless you prove it. Not unless you earn it. Not unless you say yes. So you say yes. And then the weight settles in. That thick, suffocating awareness that you have betrayed yourself again. Here is why. Because you have. Every yes that should have been a no is an act of self-abandonment. Every time you override your instinct to protect your energy, your time, your peace, You teach yourself the same lesson you learned as a child, that your needs do not matter, that your voice is not safe, that the only way to stay connected is to disappear. But here is what I need you to hear. That guilt you feel, it is not your conscience. It is not your moral compass telling you that you are selfish. It is your nervous system trying to keep you safe in a world that no longer exists. It is the child in you who learned that no equals abandonment, and she is terrified. But she is wrong. Saying no is not selfish. It is not cruel. It is not unkind. Saying no is the first act of self-loyalty. It is you choosing to exist as a whole person, instead of a half version of yourself designed to make other people comfortable. It is you reclaiming your voice, your energy, your right to take up space without earning it. I know that is a lot to sit with, but here is the good news. You can rewire this. You can teach your nervous system that your no is safe, that boundaries do not mean abandonment, that you can say no and still be worthy of love. And it starts with one small daily act of loyalty to yourself. Here is what I want you to do. Tonight, before bed, find somewhere quiet where you will not be interrupted. Sit down. Place your hand on your heart. Feel the rise and fall of your breath beneath your palm, and then ask yourself this question out loud. What did I say yes to today that I wanted to say no to? Do not judge the answer. Do not explain it away. Just let it come. And then say this: I see you. I hear you. And next time, I will protect you. Say it out loud. Your voice, not in your head, but in the air, because your nervous system needs to hear you claim your own defense. It needs to know that you are not leaving yourself behind anymore, that you are learning to be the adult who protects the child who could not say no. This is somatic reclamation. It works because it does not bypass your body. It speaks directly to the part of you that learned to abandon yourself for safety. By placing your hand on your heart, you are activating your vagal tone, the part of your nervous system responsible for connection and safety. By speaking the words aloud, you are creating a new neural pathway, one that says, my voice matters, my boundaries are safe. I am allowed to choose myself. Do this every night for a week, and notice what shifts. Notice if saying no feels a little less terrifying. Notice if the guilt softens. Notice if you start to recognize the moment before you abandon yourself, and choose differently. Because here is the truth. You are not responsible for other people's disappointment. You are not responsible for managing their emotions, accommodating their expectations, or making yourself smaller so they feel bigger. You are responsible for one person, you. And the most radical thing you can do is start treating yourself like you matter. Not because you have earned it, not because you have proven yourself worthy, not because you have said yes enough times to finally deserve a no, but because you exist, because your needs are not negotiable, because your voice is not conditional, because you are a whole person, not a service. Saying no does not make you selfish. It makes you honest. It makes you present. It makes you someone who can actually show up in relationships as a real person instead of a performance. And the people who truly love you, the ones who are safe, will not punish you for having boundaries. They will respect them. They will meet you there. And if someone withdraws love when you set a boundary, that reveals their limitations, not your failure. That tells you they were invested in your compliance, not your wholeness. And while that is painful to see, it is also clarifying, because now you know this relationship requires you to disappear, and you get to decide if that is a price you are still willing to pay. The guilt will come. It always does at first. But every time you honor your no, you teach your nervous system a new truth, that you can set a boundary and survive, that your voice does not equal abandonment, that choosing yourself is not the same as rejecting everyone else. It is just you finally remembering that you matter too. So the next time someone asks something of you, pause. Feel the impulse to say yes. Notice the guilt rising before you have even spoken. And then ask yourself, is this a yes I want to give? Or is this a yes I am giving because I am afraid of what my no will cost me? And if it is the second one, take a breath, place your hand on your heart, and practice the words, I cannot, I am sorry, but no. You do not owe an explanation. You do not owe a justification. You do not owe a performance of guilt to prove you are still a good person. You just owe yourself the truth. This is how you come home to yourself. Not by becoming someone new, but by remembering who you were before you learned to disappear. Before you learned that your worth was measured in yeses. Before you learned that love was conditional on compliance. You were always allowed to take up space. You were always allowed to have needs. You were always allowed to say no. Subscribe for more videos on reclaiming your voice and honoring your boundaries.